I got to see a few films today, and the first film I want to talk about is Together, starring Dave Franco and Alison Brie. Now, this is a new horror film, or body horror film, I should say. It just came out this past weekend. I actually missed a weekend screening. I actually had tickets to it. I ended up missing the screening. Was kicking myself for it because this is a film I've been looking forward to seeing for quite some time. Now, if you've seen the trailers, it does not give you a lot. It gives you a very brief premise of the film, but not a very in-depth premise. So you kind of go in knowing very little about the film. I'm sure that, well, I'm going to phrase that, from the trailers I've seen. Now, I'm sure there might be extended trailers and more online. I didn't really look too much into it. I just saw a couple brief trailers, or one trailer I saw a couple times through various screenings I was at and online, and just kind of cut it off there. I went in knowing as little about the film as possible, and I absolutely love that. And this movie did not disappoint. But to kind of give a better background of the film is pretty much of a young couple who live in Manhattan that are moving up into the boondocks, which it doesn't clearly say where they moved to. I might have, I'm not sure, like the exact geographical location. I think it's like upstate New York or like upper, like maybe Buffalo, New York. So it's just up in the boonies. Now the city, because Alison Brie's character took a job as a teacher there. And Dave Franco's character is a musician who is still kind of like a struggling artist. They're in their like early 30s now. They've been together for, I think the film said like 7 or 8 years. And, you know, it's definitely a hard move. And they're moving up to the boondocks for Alison Brie's character for her new job. Now, the film tackles not only body horror, but it also has this really well written and just great storyline, like a sub storyline of their relationship, and kind of this love story that kind of ties into it, which is really weird for horror films. But the subtext of the love story and their relationship plays a huge part in this film and really kind of intertwines with the horror. Now, I can honestly say I am a huge fan of horror. I've loved horror since I was like 8 years old. And one subgenre of horror that always kind of got me was body horror. Now, body horror till this day still freaks me the fuck out. Like, it makes my skin crawl and my stomach churn at times, but in the best possible way. Like, this film definitely is the perfect example of great body horror. Now, as they move up there is also a third character introduced who is Alison Brie's character's co-worker at her new school. So other than that, they live in this very small town. Like, he is their only neighbor. Where their house is at, they live in pretty much the middle of fucking nowhere. Which is, again, is the perfect setting for a horror film. And, you know, David Franco's character, being unemployed pretty much, spends a lot of time coming to the house and has more free time on his hands. And, you know, you hear about this missing couple that has gone missing right around their location not that long previous before they moved up there. Now, as, you know, they're on this hike, they discover they will end up falling through a hole in the ground that leads to a submerged old church, which is where they spent like their first night there, that new town. They went on a hike, and, you know, obviously their first night there, and after they get out the next day, well, actually the film kind of begins there, because you see in that sequence where they start to stick together. And, you know, the film goes on, you have this really intertwining story twin-twiner story that kind of goes side and side with their relationship and the body horror. Now, this script is phenomenal. Just the way that they managed to tell such an intertwining story and have it so well fleshed out in this kind of film is just amazing. Now, anytime you go to a horror film, you know, a good script and a solid storyline is always a plus. Now, I know that sounds kind of, not cliche, it sounds kind of like I'm bashing horror films, but I'm not bashing horror in the slightest. Just well-penned script usually isn't the selling point of the film. I just have to say, this film is firing on all cylinders. I honestly love this movie, and I think it was so well done. My only complaint, if you see my out of theater reaction video that I posted, was the ending. Now, when I say the ending, I mean like the last 20 or 30 seconds of this film. Initially, I was pissed on how it ended, or just the ending sequence, really. But just kind of having a couple hours now to kind of look back and really ponder on the ending and the film as a whole, I have to say this film is probably one of my favorite horror films of recent time. All in all, I have to say I absolutely love this fucking movie. It is creepy as hell. It has these moments, again, like I said, body horror is definitely one of the subgenres horror that really freaked me the fuck out. And this one definitely goes there and pushes the limits while always knowing exactly where to go and how far to go without it being overkill. It's just has the perfect balance of pushing the limits without going over into that area of over the top cheese, like cheesy gore, and it finds that perfect balance. And it is without question a damn near perfect film. Again, I love horror films. Body horror, like I said, is the one that kind of always freaks me out a little bit, but this one is by far my favorite body horror film, or one of my favorite body horror films, and it, without question, was done damn near flawlessly. I have no choice but give this film a full price. I'm even teetering on a Ferris Bueller because there's a good possibility I might go see this film again just on how well executed it was, and it just fired on all cylinders. Definitely, if you love horror films, this one is one not to be missed. Have you saw it? What are your thoughts? Comment below. Let me know.